Julian and I were at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Just when we were about to take the final photo for getting the marriage certificate, he was called away by a phone call. He left me alone at the marriage registration office, in a dilemma. I called him, but he didn't answer. I sent him a message, but he didn't reply. In the end, I could only find the phone number of his childhood sweetheart and called. It was Julian who answered. "Ava, aren't you annoying? Olivia sprained her ankle, and I have to take care of her today. Stop calling and waking Olivia up. Let's reschedule the day for getting our marriage certificate." I bit my lower lip gently and murmured to him. "This makes it the 7th time we've rescheduled. So what? The Civil Affairs Bureau is right there. It's not going to disappear." I had a blank expression on my face, but my heart was aching. The staff member asked me sympathetically if I still wanted to proceed with the registration. I nodded slightly. "Yes, I do." I called my best friend's older brother and agreed to his request. After hanging up the phone, I told the staff member and asked for a delay. While I was in a daze, Henry arrived. He rode a cool motorcycle. The moment he took off his helmet and walked in, he immediately caught the attention of many people in the marriage office. Henry walked all the way up to me, sat on the chair beside me, crossed his legs, and said to me with a playful smile, "Have you changed your mind? Are you willing to have a fake marriage with me to deal with the mess at home?" I nodded gently. In fact, it wasn't just to deal with the family's urging for marriage. The most important thing about this marriage was that I wanted my grandpa to be at ease before he passed away. Half a year ago, my grandpa's health deteriorated rapidly. He lived in the hospital every day, and every time he saw me, he would ask when I was going to get married. He wanted to see me in a wedding dress. He wanted to see me walk down the aisle. He said that in this way, even if he left, there would still be someone to love me. So I urged Julian to get married half a year ago. We've been to the Civil Affairs Bureau 7 times on and off, but each time it ended in failure due to various problems. The last time, Olivia was on her period and was in so much pain that he had to go back and make brown sugar water for her. The time before that, Olivia lost her keys and couldn't get home, so he had to go and open the door for her. The time before that, Olivia was hungry and wanted to eat the duck blood vermicelli soup in the north of the city, so he had to rush to queue up for it. All these 7 times were because of Olivia, and each time Julian would abandon me without hesitation. Ironically, I gave him 7 chances. But he didn't even want to spare the time for the last photo. Actually, this time, I wasn't as sad about Julian's leaving. Maybe I was already used to it, or maybe I had expected it. It was just that my grandpa's words he said to me some time ago suddenly flashed through my mind. "Ava, Grandpa is afraid that he won't live much longer. Maybe I won't be able to see our Ava in a wedding dress. But even if you're alone in the future, you have to be brave and don't let others bully you." I promised my grandpa that I would be brave. So this time I won't compromise anymore. "Julian, I've given you a chance. And 7 times. The procedures for getting the marriage certificate with Henry went smoothly. Just when Henry and I were about to take the wedding photos, my phone suddenly rang. It was a message from Julian. "Okay, Ava. Don't be angry. I really couldn't get away this time. But I've already cooked your favorite food at home. Wait for you to come back." Henry glanced in my direction and asked me casually, "Do you still want to continue?" I took a deep breath and said expressionlessly, "Continue." After completing the marriage registration procedures and holding the marriage certificate, I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Before leaving, I said to Henry, "Are you free tomorrow? I have something I want you to go with me." Henry took a long stride with his long legs and straddled the motorcycle. "Call me if there's anything. Maybe in a couple of days, my parents will also need you to help me out with something." After saying that, he rode away on the motorcycle. I felt that things in the world were unpredictable. The relationship with Julian that lasted for years in college and 3 years after graduation ultimately didn't work out. But I only met my best friend's older brother once and then got married to him. On the way back, Julian sent me another message, along with a picture. The dining table was densely filled with delicious dishes. Why haven't you come back yet? The food is all ready. If you're late, there won't be any left. He really did what he said. He just sent me a message saying that there would be no food left if I was late. Sure enough, when I got home, the dining table was in a mess, and all the food had been eaten up. Olivia beside me put on an act of a scheming woman and said to me pitifully, "I'm really sorry, sister. I was just so hungry that I couldn't help but eat first." Even if I was slow-witted, I could tell that she was provoking me. At that moment, I felt my blood boiling, and I clenched my fists so tightly that my sharp nails dug deep into my palms. Olivia and Julian were childhood sweethearts. So in Julian's eyes, she was the top priority. In fact, at the beginning, everything went smoothly in the process of getting to know, falling in love, and being in love between Julian and me. We didn't have many arguments. Even if we did, every time Julian would be the first to apologize and coax me. Even if it wasn't my fault, he would take all the blame right away. Even my best friend envied me more than once for finding a man like Julian who doted on me so much. But such envy ended half a year ago. Since Olivia appeared, his doting on me has changed completely. "Ava, why did you come back so late? Didn't I remind you a long time ago?" Julian walked out of the kitchen and frowned when he saw me. In his impression, as soon as I received his message, I would rush back as fast as I could. "I was delayed by something on the way, so I'm late." "What was so important that you missed the mealtime?" His tone was flat, but there was a hint of questioning. I didn't plan to tell him about getting married. Since I've decided to leave from now on, Julian is just a stranger in my eyes. The main reason for coming back this time was to get my luggage at home. It's nothing. The company asked me to go on a business trip, so I'm back to pack my luggage. After saying that without waiting for Julian's reaction, I walked straight towards the bedroom. But as soon as I opened the bedroom door, I was shocked by what I saw. The bed that I had just tidied up before leaving was in a mess, and the wardrobe was also rummaged through. I could ignore all these. But the handmade model of a tall building that my grandpa gave me on the bedside table was broken in the middle. The scattered pieces were all over the floor. I couldn't hold it in anymore and directly called Julian's name. "Who has been in this bedroom? Who knocked over my things?" Julian walked in, first frowned, and then quickly relaxed his brows. He said in a nonchalant tone, "It's just a handicraft. I'll find someone to piece it back together for you later." I was stunned for a moment. That indifferent tone was just like saying that I was simply not important to him at all. And because of these words, I knew that it must be Olivia who broke the thing. Only she was worthy of Julian's desperate protection like this. Olivia broke it, didn't she? My plain words seemed to ignite Julian's temper. He immediately frowned and questioned me. "Do you have any evidence that Olivia broke it? Maybe it wasn't properly installed and just fell down by itself." "Ava, don't just open your mouth and accuse others. Before you say it was Olivia, at least show some evidence, or I'll sue you for slander." I almost bit through the soft flesh in my mouth. The strong smell of blood filled my mouth. He really could protect her. Just because of my words, I was accused of slander. But clearly, Julian wasn't like this half a year ago. The day I truly fell in love with him was on a rainy night. I had a car accident, and he didn't even take an umbrella. He ran all the way to the accident site. On that day, this man who had always been polite and well-behaved shed all his scruples for me. He shouted and fought with the driver who hit my car by the roadside. But why has this person changed now? I didn't continue to make a scene. Just as Julian said, I didn't have any evidence to prove that Olivia broke it. I could only crouch on the ground carefully to pick up the pieces and also put away the two broken parts of the tall building. At this moment, Olivia's pitiful voice came from outside the door. She limped in. "Julian, don't quarrel with sister anymore. Although I didn't break it, if sister wants to blame me, then blame me. No one has ever liked me since I was a child. It's normal for sister not to like me either." As she said that, she deliberately took a few steps and squatted in front of me. She stepped on one of the pieces and even twisted her foot hard. At the same time, she said in a very low voice, "It was me who broke it. So what?" The anger instantly rushed to my head, and I directly pushed Olivia away. But before I could even touch her, she fell to the ground smoothly. Her foot wrapped in white gauze even accurately hit the bedside table. The next second, Olivia's crying voice rang out. "Sister, I just wanted to help you." Before I could react, Julie indirectly grabbed my long hair. It was a look I had never seen before. He stared at me ferociously, his eyes sharp, as if he wanted to kill me. "Even if you don't like Olivia, you don't have to hurt her like this," and she's still a patient now. With Julian pulling my hair, I had to raise my head and look at them. A bitter taste spread from the tip of my tongue, and my heart was full of holes. I didn't even touch her. Julian slapped me directly on the face. A red slap mark instantly appeared on the side of my face. "You're still lying, Ava, do you think I'm blind? I was right behind you, and I saw it with my own eyes. First you framed Olivia, and now you pushed her down. How could I not have known before that you're such a heartless and cruel woman? You're simply vicious." I held my breath and couldn't say a word in retort. Anyway, in this situation, no matter what I said, Julian wouldn't believe me anymore. He let go of me and looked down at me coldly. "Can't find an excuse now, can you? Ava, you're really a venomous woman." Julian looked at me with disappointment. But I felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted. If I had still had the last bit of hope for him before, now it was finally gone and I was at peace. I no longer defended myself or struggled to explain. Olivia, who was picked up by Julian, looked at me triumphantly and mouthed a word. But I understood it. "You don't deserve to compete with me for Julian. Since you like him, then I'll give him to you." Because Olivia's sprained ankle had just been hit, Julian nervously carried her to the hospital. I stood up unsteadily. In the full-length mirror in front of me, my red and burning hot face was reflected. The slap mark on it was still clearly visible. One could imagine how angry Julian was at that time and how much strength he used. I couldn't help but smile bitterly and reached out to wipe away the blood slowly oozing from the corner of my mouth. This slap also shattered all my previous illusions. Taking this opportunity, I collected all my clothes at home and packed them in a suitcase. I took away everything that could be taken away and threw the things that couldn't be taken away into the trash can. Before leaving, I found an agency and listed the house online. This house was mine. It was bought for me by my grandpa with his pension. It was originally prepared as my bridal chamber. Now it seemed there was no need to keep it. I thought the things that were tainted were disgusting. I pushed my suitcase and stayed in a hotel for one night. In the following days, I planned to spend the last days with my grandpa. I called Henry early in the morning. He didn't seem to have gotten up yet, and his voice was muffled. It wasn't until I urged him several times and called my best friend, asking her to keep an eye on him, that this man finally got up. When we went to the hospital, Henry and I prepared some words in advance to deal with my grandpa. Because I had brought Julian to meet my grandpa before. My grandpa also knew that Julian was the person I was going to marry. In order not to make my grandpa worry, I planned to ask Henry to help me deal with this situation and not reveal our true identities. But I didn't expect that he would get along so well with my grandpa. They talked from the poverty in their era to all kinds of artificial intelligence nowadays. Even before we left in the end, my grandpa was a bit reluctant to part with him. He took my hand and gently patted the back of my hand. "Ava, this one is good. This one is much more reliable than that Julian." I felt a bit embarrassed and didn't want my grandpa to know that I had casually found someone to get married to. So I could only force myself to say, "Grandpa, did you remember wrongly? He is Julian. Your grandpa isn't senile yet. I still know whether it's the same person or not. It's just that grandpa doesn't know if he can hold on until the day of your wedding banquet." I quickly took out the marriage certificate and handed it to my grandpa. "Grandpa, don't worry. We're already married, and the wedding banquet is being prepared. You will definitely be able to attend it." Unexpectedly, my grandpa opened the marriage certificate and looked at it carefully with a magnifying glass. Finally, he nodded in satisfaction. "I knew it. It's not that kid Julian. His name is Henry, right? This is a good name." I gave my grandpa an annoyed look and finally left the ward. Henry was waiting for me in the corridor. It seemed that he had had an argument with someone. When I walked closer and took a look, I realized that the people he was arguing with were Julian and Olivia. I didn't know what the cause was. But one sentence from Julian made my throat tighten, and I couldn't catch my breath for a long time. "What my girlfriend did wrong, I'll apologize on her behalf. But as a grown man, isn't it shameless of you to bully a woman like this?" In his heart, Olivia was his girlfriend. So what was I? A substitute. If you do something wrong, you have to admit it. If everyone was like you, what's the point of having laws? Just because she's a woman, can she do whatever she wants? Julian and Olivia were left speechless by the retort. Just as I appeared, Julian saw me. A trace of fear and unease suddenly flashed in his eyes. But he quickly suppressed it and rushed up to hold me as if nothing had happened, and spoke first. "Ava, you're just in time. Just now Olivia accidentally spilled coffee all over him. He actually said that this suit is worth tens of thousands of yuan. Do you think he's trying to extort money? You have a best friend who's a lawyer. Let's sue him for extortion." Olivia nodded as if it were only natural, showing no sign of regret at all. "Yes, sue him for extortion, and also make him pay for our mental damage." Henry smiled and looked at me, and I couldn't help blushing. "Your friend?" I immediately shook my head. "No, he isn't." Before Julian could come to his senses, I continued. "This suit of his is indeed worth tens of thousands of yuan, and the lawyer you mentioned is his sister." After saying that, I walked away quickly from the hospital and didn't want to have any more communication with Julian at all. As for how they would negotiate, it had nothing to do with me. In the following days, Henry had been arranging our wedding banquet. I originally wanted to just wear a simple wedding dress and let my grandpa take a look, and that would be it. But Henry said that it didn't match his appearance and he intended to make the wedding a bit grander. I knew that there were many requirements for a wealthy family like his. Since I couldn't persuade him, I could only compromise. Julian asked me every day when I would be back from my business trip. I didn't know if he had noticed that I had been contacting him less and less these days. For the first time he said that he had picked a good time and invited me to get the marriage certificate. Unfortunately, I didn't need it anymore. Every time I made an excuse that I was busy on a business trip and then hung up the phone. The wedding day came quickly. I appeared at the wedding venue in a wedding dress. A familiar voice came from behind me. It was full of surprise and a bit of fear. "Ava, aren't you on a business trip? Why are you here in a wedding dress?" Henry walked up to me. "Isn't that the man from the hospital the other day? Do you want to go down and have a chat with him?" I gave him a cold glance. I knew that with this man's intelligence, he had already guessed the relationship between Julian and me. "If you want to watch a show today, I can satisfy you now." Julian rushed up to me quickly, stretched out his hand, and pointed at me unwillingly. His voice was filled with a roar. "Ava, I know it's you. You don't need to pretend not to know me." "What do you mean now? You led me on as my girlfriend, and now you pretend not to know me and get married to another man. Have you ever really regarded me as your boyfriend?" I looked at him calmly. If it were before, I would probably have taken off this wedding dress and thrown myself into his arms long ago. But now I was terrifyingly calm. "Lead you on, Julian, you really have the nerve to say such a thing? I gave you 7 chances. If you could have grasped even one of them, would I be marrying another man today? Since you didn't want to marry me and you went to accompany your childhood sweetheart every time on the day we were supposed to get the marriage certificate, then I'll fulfill your wish. From now on, you can accompany her day and night. And I'm not pretending not to know you. I just don't want to know you at all anymore." As soon as I saw Julian, I would think of my absurd 7 years. I had accompanied him for 7 years, but in the end, he didn't even want to spare a little time for me. Julian still wanted to say something, but the security guards called by Henry directly escorted him out. He was shouting my name while babbling something about being willing to marry me. Henry clicked his tongue. I didn't expect you to be so impressive, girl. You just spoke a few words in quick succession, and your ex-boyfriend Julian couldn't even retort. I gave him a cold glance. I'm really annoyed now that there are still people who mention me and Julian together. With no one causing trouble, Henry and I continued with our wedding. My grandpa couldn't be present due to his physical condition, but my best friend connected a high-definition computer to a video call. Grandpa got to see every scene of my wedding. However, Grandpa's condition was getting worse and worse. Before the wedding was completely over, I went straight to the hospital in my wedding dress. Just then, the hospital called and said that Grandpa might not make it. What had been keeping him alive until now was to witness my wedding. Now that Grandpa's last obsession was fulfilled, his breath was getting weaker and weaker. I ran all the way. As soon as I reached the downstairs of the hospital, I was stopped by Julian. He grabbed my wrist with red eyes. Ava, you can't marry that man. He doesn't look like a good person at all. Only I love you. After all these years of our relationship, can't you feel it? Let go of me. I'm busy now. We'll talk about our business later. Although I tried hard to shake him off, Julian would always reach out with his other hand to hold me, and he kept repeating those few words asking me to forgive him. Fortunately, Henry appeared in time and stopped Julian for me. My best friend pressed the elevator button for me, and we went up to the 3rd floor. But I was still a step too late. Grandpa had already been covered with a white cloth and had no breath left. The doctor shook his head at me. Family member, you're late. But your grandpa was very happy before he passed away. As doctors, we rarely see patients like your grandpa who passed away with a smile on their face. So, I didn't get to see Grandpa for the last time. I blankly touched Grandpa's already cold hand. My best friend hugged me tightly and comforted me softly. Ava, don't be sad. You fulfilled Grandpa's last wish, and the doctor also said that Grandpa was happy before he left. I wiped away the tears that kept welling up at the corners of my eyes, reached out my hand, and gently touched Grandpa's face through the white cloth. Yes, Grandpa must have been very happy. At Grandpa's funeral. It was drizzling that day. My best friend held an umbrella for me and accompanied me. Henry was arranging for people to bury Grandpa's ashes. Ava, don't be too sad. I think Grandpa wouldn't want to see you like this. Grandpa saw your wedding before he left. He should be very happy. I nodded. Grandpa should be very happy. He had no regrets when he left. Even the husband I found temporarily, Grandpa was very satisfied with. Thinking of this, I looked up at Henry, who was sprinkling the last handful of soil on the light train. It was impossible not to be touched. I was really grateful to the brother and sister for accompanying me at the last moment. Henry, thank you for helping me fulfill Grandpa's last wish. We can go through the divorce procedures tomorrow. Henry shook off a few drops of rain on his head and said casually. Why are you in such a hurry? Your matter is over, but mine isn't. Let's just leave it like this for now. I'll contact you in a few days. He left right after he finished speaking. I looked at my best friend in surprise. I didn't know what my best friend was dodging in her eyes, and she quickly changed the subject. My brother is being pressured to get married, and he can't find anyone. Now, Ava, please help him and deal with my parents. I always felt that something was wrong, but I couldn't figure it out for a while. However, Henry did help me after all, and I couldn't turn my back on him now. Coming down from the hill of the cemetery, Julian was waiting for me at the foot of the hill. He was holding a bouquet of chrysanthemums in his hand, and his hair was messy, obviously he hadn't taken care of it for a while. Ava, where was Grandpa buried? I should also go and pay my respects to Grandpa. Although I really didn't want to talk to him, since it was about Grandpa, I could only politely refuse. Thank you, Mr. Julian, but there's no need. With your relationship with Grandpa, there's no need for you to pay your respects. Julian suddenly burst into tears, and his red eyes were bloodshot. He apologized to me. He said that he didn't know about Grandpa's condition at all that day. He just loved me so deeply that he wanted to win me back, so he stopped me in the hospital lobby. Ava, please forgive me. This time we will definitely get married, and Grandpa's spirit in heaven will surely bless us. You see, I accompanied you to visit Grandpa several times before, and your Grandpa also liked me very much. Now that Grandpa is gone, I will be the one to protect you. I don't know when he became so thick-skinned. Clearly, the former Julian, although not too proud, had a backbone. Now he just makes me feel disgusted. Just as I was about to speak, a black car stopped beside us. Henry opened the car door and got out, and immediately hugged me in his arms. My wife doesn't need you to protect her, and Grandpa didn't like you. The one he liked was me. He was just like someone who was jealous and couldn't wait to declare his sovereignty. Julian's face was so distorted with anger. His eyes stared fixedly at the hand that Henry had around me. Ava, these rich people are just playing around. Don't be deceived by him. As he spoke, he put on an extremely affectionate look. It's different for me. We've been together for 7 years and gone through so many ups and downs. You've already been irreplaceable in my heart. No matter what you become, I will always love you the most. It would have been better if he hadn't said anything. Once he did, I almost couldn't hold back my nausea. Remembering the scene of him grabbing my hair without hesitation that day, my scalp aches faintly. I sneered at him and said, "Is loving me hurting me without hesitation? Is loving me slapping me hard? Julian, your love is too terrifying. I don't dare to accept it anymore." This sarcastic remark also made Julian change his expression. The things he had done before gradually came to my mind. He subconsciously took 2 steps back and almost fell to the ground in a stagger. I thought it was kind of funny. Did he have selective amnesia and he needed me to remind him of the things he had done? Otherwise, how could he still dare to say such shameless words? One last notice to you. I'm going to sell that house. Please move out with Olivia as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'll call the police. Julian was stunned for a while, and then looked at me in disbelief. You're going to sell the house? I don't agree. This is our bridal chamber. Where will I live if you sell the house? What does it matter to me where you live? Now you're just a stranger to me. I hope you can have some self-awareness and move out earlier, otherwise I'll call the police and we'll fall out completely. After saying that, I ignored Julian and got into Henry's car and left. Julian chased after the car, roaring unwillingly. Ava, we can get married. You can't drive me away. All the way, the man driving the car had a very bad expression. I didn't know what he was angry about. After being exhausted for so many days, I leaned against the car and fell asleep directly. When I woke up, I was in a small apartment. Since that house was occupied by Julian and Olivia, and I couldn't keep living in a hotel every day, with the help of my best friend, I moved into this apartment of Henry's. My luggage was also moved here. My best friend was sitting on the sofa not far from me, holding a laptop in her hand, furiously typing on the keyboard with an angry expression. I didn't know who she was replying to. What are you doing? My best friend was startled by my voice. She quickly closed the laptop and said to me, "Nothing. I'm just watching a drama online and leaving some comments." I gave her a suspicious look but didn't pay much attention. But in the following days, I found something really strange. Every time I went out, there were always a lot of people pointing at me and whispering. Later, when I was at work, my leader called me in for a talk and gave me some veiled reminders. After I came out, I searched online and finally knew the whole story. Someone was smearing me on the internet. As soon as I saw that account, I guessed it was Julian's. The profile picture was of a person wearing a high-end suit, and his face wasn't shown. However, this suit was a birthday gift I bought for Julian. I also roughly guessed the cause of the incident. Probably Julian was unwilling to be driven out by me, so he chose to create public opinion on the internet and portray himself as the vulnerable one. He said that I was a gold digger, that our 7-year relationship couldn't withstand the financial temptation of a wealthy family. Not only did I dump him, but I also married a rich man right away, and I even took away the bridal chamber he bought for me, and now I'm going to drive him out of the house. Soon, a group of people on the internet started to cyberbully me. On the way home, many people recognized me and started talking about it. Is this the woman? She just dumped her boyfriend of 7 years without a second thought. She has such a cruel heart. Of course it's good to marry a rich person. Love can only satisfy the spirit, not the material. If I were in her place, I would also choose the rich person. Gold digger. She's a typical example of a gold digger. It's women like her who ruin the social atmosphere. Suddenly, a black cashmere coat was draped over me. Henry's stern face looked even more gloomy and cold. He bluntly cursed at the group of people who were gossiping. What's it to you? Slandering others is against the law. Say one more word, and I'll ask my lawyer to send you a lawyer's letter directly. The group of people who had been chatting and gossiping scattered immediately. I returned to the apartment under Henry's protection. Before I even entered the door, I heard my best friend Emma cursing while furiously typing on the keyboard. These keyboard warriors only know how to be tough online. If they have the guts, come and have a one-on-one fight with me offline. It was only when she saw me coming back. My best friend then closed the laptop and pretended as if nothing had happened. I found it a bit funny, but I was also touched. Stop pretending. I already know everything. What? You know everything? My best friend was stunned for a moment, then she hugged me tightly and started to comfort me. It must be Julian playing tricks. He's just jealous that you married my brother. Now he wants to ruin you. Actually, I'm not as fragile as she thinks, but my heart felt warm. Regarding this matter, although I knew Julian was behind it, I didn't know where to start to solve it for a while. As soon as I tried to explain one sentence online, thousands of people started to leave comments and cyberbully me. Later, the company suspended my position and gave me a week to deal with and quell this matter. Julian's call came right after that. Ava, you must regret it, right? As long as you come back to me, we can still live a happy life like before. I won't mind that you've been married. As long as you come back, I'll immediately go online and announce that you've had a change of heart and realized your mistake. I felt so disgusted that I got goosebumps all over my body. But I think you're a scumbag. I gave you 7 chances to get married, but you didn't cherish them. Since you like being with your childhood sweetheart, I'll grant your wish. Julian, just wait to be driven out of the house by me. After hanging up the phone, the situation on the internet got more and more intense. This phone call was edited, with the beginning and the end cut off, and then posted on the internet. I also uploaded the entire recording of the call. Soon, the situation started to show a polarization. There were people who supported me, and there were also people who supported Julian. During this period, Julian angrily sent a message saying that I actually recorded the call. I'm not stupid. I knew he didn't have any good intentions when he called. But I never expected that Henry would actually step in directly for my sake. Julian had never revealed Henry's name because he was worried that something unexpected would happen if Henry got involved. He directly posted 10 photos online. Starting from my high school days all the way to this year's final wedding photo. I've been secretly in love for 10 years, and finally my wish has come true. Then he made public the fact that I was stood up by Julian 7 times when we were going to get the marriage certificate, and he even filmed the surveillance videos from the Civil Affairs Bureau for these 7 times. Each time, Julian heartlessly left me alone at the marriage registration office. The public opinion on the internet immediately took a turn. What kind of strange man is this? The woman gave him 7 chances to get the marriage certificate, but he was the one who ran away. Damn it. If it were me, not to mention 7 times, I would say goodbye right after the first time. The woman is simply my ideal partner. She's so infatuated. It's a pity she met a scumbag. Soon, someone also exposed the video from that time in the hospital. When Julian was hugging Olivia, he openly said, "This is my girlfriend." Before the next day came, Julian's social media platform was flooded. There were nothing but messages scolding him as a scumbag. On the night when the matter was resolved, I invited my best friend and Henry to have dinner at the apartment. When I asked where the 10 photos from the past 10 years came from, Henry obviously paused for a moment. Before he could say anything, I quickly reacted and looked at my best friend. "You must have given them, right?" I remember the first photo was taken at school not long after we met. From that day on, life gradually returned to normal. The real estate agent quickly found a suitable buyer for my house. But there was an accident when showing the house. "Miss Ava, why don't you solve your personal affairs first, Mr. Julian refuses to let the client see the house no matter what, and he also says that this is his house." I didn't say much. I just asked the real estate agent to give me a day. On the same day I called the police and told the police what had happened. When I arrived in front of the house, I saw Julian being directly arrested by the police. When he saw me, he said in a pitiful crying voice, "Ava, are you really so heartless? This is our bridal chamber. Where will we live if you sell it?" Olivia was also brought out soon. In a short while, along with their suitcases. It's funny to say that after all these years, the things that really belonged to Julian were only a few. Things like the remaining clothes, computer, and mobile phone were all bought by me for him. At this moment, I seemed to realize what role I had been playing in the past 7 years. "I don't know where you live. I've already cleared out your things. Check them again yourself. If you say something is missing later, I won't admit it." As soon as I finished speaking, Julian immediately said, "You haven't given me my computer and mobile phone yet." I casually called the boss of a second-hand recycling shop and sold the 2 items directly. "I bought these. When did they become your things? I still have the payment receipts on my phone. What evidence do you have to prove that these things are yours?" He immediately widened his eyes. This move was directly beyond his imagination. But I was just using his own tactics against him. If he hadn't caused such a big mess for me on the internet, I wouldn't have thought of being so ruthless. After Julian and Olivia were driven away, I called the real estate agent and also called a lock-changing company to change the door lock. The client who came to see the house was also very straightforward. After seeing the house, he immediately paid the deposit. When I walked out of the community, I met Julian and Olivia looking worried on the roadside. Olivia was crying and asking where they would live that night. Julian was smoking a cigarette. When he saw me, he immediately rushed over and grabbed the hem of my clothes. "Ava, you can't treat me like this. After all these years of our relationship, how can it end just like that?" I gave him a cold look. "Your childhood sweetheart is right here. You'd better stay away from me. In case she causes some trouble again, you'll blame me for it." After saying that, I shook him off forcefully. Julian was still unwilling. Just as he was about to chase after me, a motorcycle passed by him closely. He was so scared that he sat down on the ground. Henry threw the helmet to me. "Have you finished dealing with it? Then let's go." In the evening, I was taken to Henry's family's old house for dinner. Henry said that his parents wanted to meet me. To be honest, I was still very nervous. I heard that there were always a lot of etiquette rules in wealthy families. He seemed to see what I was thinking and suddenly grabbed my hand. His warm palm seemed to warm my heart. To my surprise, the dinner turned out to be much more relaxing than I expected. His mother seemed to be very satisfied with me. Even my best friend was a bit jealous and said that her mother treated me better than her. After the dinner, Henry took me to his room. I then noticed that the largest poster in the whole room looked somewhat similar to me. When I stupidly asked who that person was, Henry threw out a stack of photo albums. When I opened the photo albums, it was as if I was looking back on my own experiences of the past 10 years. The last photo was a group photo of us at the marriage registration office of the Civil Affairs Bureau. "So these are all of me?" Henry looked at me helplessly and nodded. Who else could it be if not you? So, without my knowledge, I had been the object of his secret love for 10 years. Later, I learned it from my best friend. That seemingly fake marriage was actually the fulfillment of his long-cherished wish after he had put in a lot of effort and schemed for a long time.